welcome to Let's Talk Nation. I'm your man, Rod Love, and sitting next to me is none other than the General Attorney Greg Jackson.
Once again, it's on, brother love. Hey, you know how we get this thing started, man. How's this week for this past week?
Man, the week has been great, man. Just living and loving and enjoying. What about yourself?
Oh man, no complaints, man. No complaints. Just
Greg,
living
so
the
Greg,
dream.
did you get off on one of your because you're a photographer, you're a jet setter. When you're not going to New Zealand and all these other places.
You know how it is. You know how it is, man. So, but yeah, nah. This week, I had a. I don't talk about this a whole lot, but I celebrated another year of rotation on the planet.
Okay.
And so I just got a chance to blow a couple
Man,
of
happy
dollars.
belated birthday, man.
So I had a chance to blow a couple of dollars at the Hard Rock. So
okay. Hey Doc, do you notice how when Greg's birthday come around, I gotta put that in my outlook, man, because he'll let it come and go, and then casually bring it up when we're doing the show. But happy birthday, brother.
Nah, man, I appreciate it. Hey, but listen, for those who are tuned in to these two voices, you tuned in to two of the most influential voices in Central Florida on a Monday night podcast, Brother Love and Greg Jackson, the dynamic duo, Brother Love, guaranteed to raise IQs 10 to 15 points. On some nights, Brother Love, we got them to 20 to 25. If you want to be a part of tonight's conversation, all you got to do, they can do it on Facebook. And a lot of folks have been doing it on Facebook, but just in case, if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, if you want to get that old rotary dial phone and you want to push some buttons,
let them know what they can do,
407-921-6195. Again, that's 407-921-6195 to talk to Twitter on Central Florida Monday Night Podcast. Brother Love, Greg Jackson, Brother Love, let's
get it on. Boy, I love that. Hey, Doc, how you doing, man?
I'm good.
Doc, good. He not talking in his mic tonight.
Hey, I was tickled pink this morning when I got up and I saw Florida Doge is in the making.
We're gonna love it when you talk into that mic so we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm getting that right. So there you go. Now, see?
There we go.
Rob made me put on this monkey coat.
That's what you call it. Hey, but you know what? Doc jumping right off into the deep end of the water when he
no doubt, man. No doubt. So for about a month now, and even a little bit before a month now, folks have been hearing about the federal response to government efficiency and how Elon Musk, the world's richest man, or one of the world's richest men, has been head of an agency created by Donald Trump, by the Trump administration. I don't know what happened to Vivek Ramaswamy. I think he's going to be running for governor, but
in Ohio, yeah.
But the federal government came up with a department, the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, that has been tasked with looking at government spending and the efficiency of different positions within the federal government, and has been tasked with getting rid of waste. And it has been determined that they've already found close to $1 trillion of waste in the federal government. And it seems as if the governor of the state of Florida has taken his own view of things and has decided to do what, Brother Love?
Oh, decided to create DOGE in the state of Florida and really continue along the same path. One of the things, Brother Jackson, I anticipated, Doc, y'all tell me what you think, but I could see this taking place across the country. I know, Doc, you were mentioning, or Greg, I know it was Doc, you were mentioning about local governments. Do you think this may very well catch on at the local government level?
Well, I was excited. To me, it's chickens coming home to roost. And so I was excited because I understand the level of waste that's going on in many aspects. And now we're back to accountability.
Hey, Doc. So I'm gonna, take this as if it's a relay, and I'm gonna hand the baton to the general, because I know the general realizes this is not the first president to create a waste, fraud, and abuse task force, but this is, I guess, the first president who actually sliced, or is, I guess, attempting to slice waste, fraud, and abuse. Because you know what other two presidents that come to mind that actually had a task force on this? I don't know, General, if there was any reductions that took place, but President Clinton.
People forget that President Clinton, when it came to welfare reform, part of welfare reform was after 2 years, they wanted people off of the welfare rolls in addition to some other things. Matter of fact, Clinton administration was also an administration that looked at the impact of illegal immigration here in this country. I saw what happened. But I quickly saw when things were reversed because those individuals who were supposed to be off of welfare in 2 years did not end up coming off of those roles for a permanent period of time.
And you're right. But then also, here's another distinction between the two. Back then, you had to submit that you were looking for work in order to continue your subsidies. What we're hearing, I mean, I haven't seen anything reduced to writing yet, but what we're hearing about this administration is you have to get a job to stay on subsidy, and albeit that job may very well be a job that you're not making a living wage, but you're being required to have a job.
Well, to contribute in some form of
Exactly.
fashion to your own well-being. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. But I mean, let's go back to the big issue at hand, which is Doge and finding inefficient spending in the government. And Doc, with the federal government, it seems as if one of the agencies that is being hit or looked at even closer than what they were hoping for is the IRS.
Oh yeah, definitely. But it's going to be interesting to watch this play out because, there are some major unintended consequences that's going to come out of this. And I don't think that that's been vetted enough. There are industries that are big in America that are based on providing services. We don't make anything anymore. All we do is service stuff. So where are those people going to go? Where are all those thousands of government workers? Where are they going to go in the market?
Okay, Doc, on that question, Greg, I want to ask you the question because what's the status of, I guess, this being in court regarding the resignation requested? So what's the status?
I mean, a couple of weeks ago, the federal courts have come down that the Trump administration was well within its authority to do the deferred resignations. But here's the thing, too, though, Doc, and this is what I found interesting is when is it that the American people cared about IRS workers? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And,
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I mean, I just heard today that which one is it? It's one of the major corporations that's getting ready to terminate 1,000 people. I want to say it's Starbucks, or maybe somebody else, but I want to say it's Starbucks. I mean, I don't hear anybody up in arms and go into private industry when they terminate people saying where these people are going to go. And so for me, we've always, I don't know why this is now triggering people, but we've always said that there's too much government much government inefficiency, that you have too many people sitting around doing nothing.
So on that note, though, and Greg, I'm glad you pointed out the Starbucks issue because as we've seen markets decline, as we've seen economies, unfortunately, in our lifetime crash, as we've seen the marketplace contract, you see businesses contracting, you see businesses going out of business. But one of the things I've never seen.
Yeah, that's like
and that was the contraction of government.
Yeah. And, you're talking about businesses going out. Look at the restaurant segment. Yesterday, Tijuana Flats filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at a person or people who are saying, wait a minute, the government is way too big. We got somebody checking on somebody checking on somebody checking. We don't need all of those folks.
Hey, a staple corporation that was announced today, and I mean, it's not, I hadn't frequent there because it's not my marketplace, but I just saw Joanne Fabrics is closing its doors.
Yeah.
If there's no longer a need for your service, the industry is going to correct itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. And listen, that's what's happening with government right now. But here's the thing also, and I don't understand, why people are so at arms or in arms about this. But apparently, over the weekend, or maybe on last Friday, Elon Musk sent an email to government workers in certain departments and said, "Tell us what you did last week."
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to bring that up.
Listen, I mean, I work in the private industry. If my employer reached out to me, or someone who has been contracted by my employer to determine efficiency reaches out to me and said, "Hey, Mr. Jackson, we need to find out what you did last week," I'm going to be happy to tell them because I was productive last week. The only time and the only people who are going to be upset about, "Hey, tell me what you did last week,"
That's not
are the people who are not being productive.
You're right.
Yeah.
But Greg, you
Eh,
just said something,
but
man,
it's
that resonates. Your employer asks you to tell them what services or products have you fulfilled yesterday, last week, whenever.
Listen,
Is that unreasonable?
it is. Listen, every single month, all right, and I'm not giving away no trade secrets, but let me say it like this: every single month, we have a meeting at the beginning of the month. It's called a mandatory meeting. In that meeting, we hear about the top 10 producers in various areas of the firm. My job, I don't get mad when I hear that I'm not in the top 10, except mad at myself that, hey, I didn't produce as much as somebody else. So next month I'm gonna be on my bicycle because I want to be one of the most productive people I can be. But if you call me any day of the week, or if you give me a whole week and then come back and say, hey, name 5 things that you did this week, shoot.
Hey, but you know what? I mean, hey, Doc. To me,
listen.
that's peer pressure production.
Well, here's the thing. It alleviates when that happens in a workplace. It alleviates this idea that this is your job. See, far too many Americans think that a job is owned by them. They got a right to that job. I used to tell my employees, you audition every day you come to work.
So audition, Doc?
Audition every day to keep your job by your productivity. If I got to step in and do your job, then what the hell you there for?
Yeah.
And why am I keeping you on my payroll?
Listen, true story. When I was in law school, and people think I'm joking when I say this, but here's the true story. When I was in law school, I wasn't even supposed to be working my first year of law school because in law school they tell you not to work your first year because they just want you to study and things like that. But listen, I didn't have that luxury. I had to work, and so I went to work for this law firm, Mick Callahan. He was a boutique civil litigation firm. And Mick Callahan, probably one of the best trial lawyers that I've ever worked with and worked under until I came along. That's another story. But Mick Callahan, one day he pulled me and one of my colleagues into his office. And he said, okay, I'm getting ready to increase y'all's pay. What do you think you should make? And my friend stood up and he said, I think you should pay us $15 an hour. Now remember, this is in 1997. I think you should pay us $15 an hour. I said, whoa, hold up, wait a minute, hold up. I said, do this for me. I said, you pay him $15. I said, pay me $12 an hour. I said, because I don't know if I've done enough to get $15 an hour because listen, that was a lot of money at the time.
Yeah.
So he said, all right, listen, I'm going to pay you your $15 an hour because that's what you asked for, but you better produce, okay? 6 months later, I get a note in my mailbox from Mick Callahan that says, congratulations, you're the highest paid law clerk I've ever had, paying me $20 an hour.
Wow.
Because I was there and I had no problem with producing
Right.
and showing my work.
You showed your value.
Let me tell you something. He told him, he said, because every summer he would bring in new law clerks and some could stay. He would tell them every summer, you better show me why I have you here. Kind of like what you're saying, Doc. It's an interview, it's an audition. Every day you walk in there, you better show me why you're here.
Hey, Doc, I mean, I love the way Greg framed that up. And you know, for every story like that, there's a story on the other side of the coin. And the first thing it made me think about, Greg, I think we talked about this on the show one time about the kid that was in the neighborhood and the neighbors saw him and knew he needed some summer money. And the kid would go knock on folks' door and try to cut their grass. And so the neighbor told the kid, come on, I'm going to let you cut my yard. And the neighbor told him, I'm going to pay you what you're worth. And the kid said, no, I'm not going to do that. And the reason why he didn't is because the kid didn't think his worth was high enough and he wasn't going to go out there and cut that man's yard. That was the other side of the coin. And so when I say that, Greg, think about this. You got organizations such as Amazon, Microsoft, that individuals are signing petitions, going to court to refuse to go back to a 5-day work week in the office. And who was it just recently told their employees, you can voluntarily come back to work or you don't have to worry about that remote work. Greg, who was that just...
I forgot who it was, but yeah.
But so, Greg, we got so much going on when you talk about auditioning for jobs every day. But then you got all these other things that's going on, Greg. You got folks signing Amazon. I mean, that company, folks signing petitions not to go back into the workplace because now they're saying they're being inconvenienced.
It's great. And listen, it's now a circumstance in the situation where the inmates are running the asylum.
Yeah.
But how do you correct that?
Listen,
You stand. Hey,
You gotta
hey, you stand on all 10. You stand on business, and you tell them, listen. In order to be a part of my company, these are my requirements. And listen, that's what Elon Musk
Yeah.
has been tasked to do with the federal government with our tax dollars.
exactly.
We're paying you. You
Too
need
many
to show
people
up
are-
to work, and you need to do a job that we're paying you for.
And
What'd you say,
too
Doc?
many people are looking at this as a negative thing. It's a
Right.
good thing because it can usher in good competition, and we'll get the cream of the crop starting to rise again. Because we
I'd
got
love to hear,
we-
Doc. I'd love to hear what some of our audience think about this process, Doc. If you can scroll that number at the bottom of the page. But if you got an opinion on this, you got a comment or a statement, please dial in at 407-921-6195. Doc, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Yeah, you know, we got to look at this as a transition back to what works and what has delivered us being the nation that we were. The fact that we out hustle and outwork people at one time, and we're not there. We
Okay, so you went
listen,
from 12 to 20.
Yeah,
listen,
yeah.
and why? Because they recognize his value, and that the level of his work was commensurate with what he was being paid.
And you took more value
Yeah.
to the firm.
I mean, listen. I mean, but I've always done that. Everywhere I've gone, I've always been the first in, one of the last to leave. I mean, even 20 plus years into practice, I'm still one of the first in, one of the last to leave. I worked the hardest. I mean, I tried more cases in one of the largest personal injury firms in the country, and I don't have to. I don't have to gear up and go into a courtroom every 2 months or more to fight for my clients. I could actually just sit back and just kind of go off my laurels. But I like being in the fight. I like proving every single day why this particular employer hired me.
Gladiator.
Yeah. Look,
And see, that's because
wanted
you're-
me to be in the trenches, and I'm
You're
in the
a
trenches.
self-motivated, self-actualized man. And a lot of people don't believe in that. You know, I'm very competitive. When I go in the gym, I'm trying to run you out the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And so let me ask you
And
this question.
that's how I approach it.
Let me ask this question. Okay, so we know about what's taking place with the IRS. Greg, do you think any new initiatives such as the fair tax initiative, do you think some other things may come out of this?
So listen, I mean, and Doc, to your point, what may happen is certain agencies, in particular, I think the Department of Education may be on the chopping block. Another agency that I think I heard of, but the IRS, I mean, if they begin to trim, I think 15,000 IRS employees have been told that they're not going to have a job. Now, what that means is that you have less IRS workers that are available to harass us. That's my words, not anybody else. Come tax season. But I think it also puts us in a position to look at different ways of assessing taxes against the American public. And I will say that there were probably about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more, there were various ideas about how do we change our tax system because it's too heavy right now. You have too many IRS agents that's handling this antiquated system of handling
Right.
taxes. And
Right.
so one of the things that came around was Herman Cain, the 999 plan.
Yeah.
The other plan, which I didn't understand Herman Cain's plan that well, I just remember 999. But the other plan that came about was something that came about with the guy by the name of Neil Bortz. And he talked about the fair tax. Now, I actually went out and I met Neil Bortz. He came in Orlando. I bought his book. He signed
Radio
it for
commentator,
me.
right?
He used to be a radio commentator. Yeah, Neil Bortz, real smart guy. But Neil Bortz, the fair tax, basically said, we don't pay any more taxes, income taxes, but the taxes that goes into the government comes from consumption. So when people
Right.
spend money here
Consumption.
in this country,
Yeah.
they're putting money into our tax system. Now, why does that work? Because if you have people who may be in this country, happen to be in this country illegally, and they don't pay income tax because they get paid under the table, they don't have to worry about it. You're not missing those taxes anymore because the moment that person goes and spends in a store or buy a
Gas,
product,
yeah.
anything like that, they're now paying into the tax system.
Yeah.
And I think that is a fairer way of assessing taxes to give back and to provide services to the American people.
One of the things that's being discussed right now, and I mean, I think it first made headlines last week. And Doc, you and I was having this conversation. Was can you fathom not having to pay a property tax here in the state of Florida?
Listen, I don't think I mind that at all.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that's going to be discussed before the legislature this year. And just imagine, folks are saying, well, then how do you manage your local services or needs? Well, people forget Florida's driven by sales tax.
Yeah. So much so to locally, local municipalities try to implement penny sales tax.
You're right.
Or half penny sales tax.
And so people ask the question, what would take place at the local level for local government should that take place? And I'm no expert on it, but one of the things that come to mind immediately would be that local governments would have to have a real strong retake on themselves and their capacity, and you would have to have some cuts.
Yeah.
In terms of personnel.
I mean, listen, I dare to say that that this DOGE organization, the federal DOGE, has given many municipalities or states ideas about how they can address potential waste in their own communities. I mean, Doc, we were just talking about that.
Yeah. And there is another side to this in that those who don't want that accountability. And me and Rod had a conversation today about a certain local government and the mechanism that he uses to make sure that what he's doing is efficient. They don't want to follow that.
And when I asked Doc, and Doc, we're not naming it, but
Yeah.
the question that I have is, do you anticipate local government? I mean, the third largest state has announced that it is introducing its own DOGE here in the state of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine some other states are probably going to pick it up and do the same in their states.
Right.
But I'm wondering, are we going to see any local governments look at implementing this? Because I think the stakes are going to be far higher for local government.
Oh yeah, and this happened as well. As Ms. Jackson is saying, they can no longer see patients from their home. They can't do telehealth.
No?
No, it's been eliminated. So there's a lot that's coming up, and I don't know how that's a cost cutting move, because it should actually be the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Cost
going
savings.
out into the community to see people is a lot of time. You're talking about on average an hour visit, okay? And Medicaid, just like many agencies, they do that quarter hour, that
that's right,
thing, yeah. And so you have, I know because I did community counseling. You got an hour session, okay? And if you don't do the full hour, you got to go to the quarter hour system, right? Now you leave there, you got to write notes. So you don't get paid for the notes. Now you got 30 minutes to your next person. If I'm there to sit at home and do telecare or video care, how much more efficient is that?
I don't know, but I got a question for you, Doc. Here's a question for you and the general. With what we see taking place right now, should the Black community move aggressively forward in getting more involved in politics, or should it retreat?
Well, before we get to that, and that's an outstanding question, but before we get to that, there are two sides to every coin. And I agree that with regards to Medicare dollars, I think that that some of those dollars are well spent to have telehealth. The problem has been that there has been abuse on the provider side, that it precludes, or it at least needs to be some evaluation of whether or not there is fraud and abuse by doing telehealth medicine. Now, the other thing too, remember with Social Security, one of the things that DOGE quickly found out is that they were sending checks out to, I want to say, a couple million people who were over the age of 100 years old. The problem with that is that there are only actually about 80,000 people over 100 years old in the United States. But they were sending out checks to about 1 million people or more who are over 100 years old. So there's certain things in the system that need to be corrected. And I think once corrected, things like telehealth and things of that nature can come back, because now you remove those issues of fraud and abuse that are inherent in the system. I mean, think about the number of people with the PPP loans.
Yeah.
And how they've lost control of monies that were supposed to go towards certain things. And I think that it's a good idea to see if you can bring and get a hold of it. But I do agree that telehealth is more cost saving than cost prohibitive.
And especially when you look at, what do they call it now? The health maintenance aspect, where you don't have to have a person come in to the office to go through the health wellness piece, when it's much more cost effective. And man, you can do a lot of stuff through telehealth now.
Yeah.
I mean, the blood pressure and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree with that, but I understand the move in at least addressing it at this stage to determine the efficiency of how those programs are being run. So, but back to the question of the $64,000 question, Doc. And I don't know how old some of these listeners are. They may not remember the $64,000 pyramid. I think that's the name of it. But the $64,000 question, Doc, is, with all of this stuff that's going on politically, should African Americans really and truly be focused on politics, or is there other things that we need to be focused on to help our community right now?
My perspective is we shouldn't be, and here's why. When you see who's standing on TV and talking about this and complaining about this, it ain't us. You understand? Many of these people that are at the federal level that are losing their job, it ain't us. Because usually we are last hired, first fired. Okay, so a lot of this is about, let's just keep it real, mediocre people that have been given a job or a placement in society who have not earned it. It's a lot of people in those jobs that are unqualified.
Doc, let me answer. Let me take it up where you left it at, and way to pose that question, because I take the other side of this. I believe that Black folk need to get involved like they've never gotten involved before, but I take a different perspective to it. If you look at Black folk and the position that we've taken, it almost paints the perception of a monolithic thinking people. And I'm sorry, but not apologetic to say that, because if you were well represented, and I'm gonna go ahead and go this far to say, when you look at Hispanic voters, when you look at Asian voters, there's not an issue when, if there's a change in the White House, they go hungry because they're represented on both sides, and it might not be equally, but there's enough representation on both sides. So, Doc, that's the one thing I would beg to differ with you respectfully on. But then I would also go,
and the reason I take that position is that oftentimes we are scapegoated as the cause of problems. It's just like with DEI, when only 4% of African Americans benefit from DEI. You know who benefits the most?
Hold on, Doc. I don't know. You had me to that part. I don't know if it's scapegoated to be the cause of the problem. I think that we're scapegoated from the standpoint that people want to identify with the issues that Black folks have been through to further their causes. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I'm saying, but we're the boogeyman in those instances.
But I don't think we're the boogeyman. I think that we are the poster child for what most of these other groups are looking to do, to say this is why we fight. Because what do they say? Oh, we feel as if we've been persecuted like Black folks in slavery. So it's not that we're the boogeyman in that. It's that they're putting their issues on the troubles that African Americans have had to go through in order to legitimize their own problems.
Well, what I'm saying is,
their own struggles.
I'm saying with diversity, equity, and inclusion, I get that part, what you're talking about. But what I'm saying is the fact that whenever they have addressed this issue, we are the face of the issue, and we're not the main ones who benefit from DEI.
Yeah, but I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I think we're saying the exact same
And
thing.
so-
is that we're the
and
face
yeah.
of it, so that they can legitimize
Right,
their role in getting benefits from what we've gone through.
right. Because I'm reading
But-
story after story of white folks that are waking up and saying, "Hey, I lost my job because I was a DEI hire."
Yeah, yeah. But here's the thing though. I'm agreeing with you on this one, Doc, in terms of African Americans and where we should be in terms of should we step away from politics and maybe focus on something else. And the reason why I say that is because there's a study that showed that the average black family passes on $0 upon death. So what that tells me is that we have very little wealth in our community as African Americans. And we've talked about this time and time again about the lifespan of the dollar in the black community versus other communities. But here's the other thing, Doc. How much money was spent or taken from African American communities to put into a political campaign, and in the case of Kamala Harris, a losing campaign? She raised $1 billion plus for her campaign, and none of that money came back into the community to help the people that she was that the Democratic Party is supposed to be fighting so hard for. And here's a question that I have. Hold on, wait, let me ask y'all this now. Here's a question I have, and this is 20-something-year-old Greg Jackson that asked this question that 50-something-year Greg Jackson still can't answer. All right, what is it that politics can do that money can't do?
What is it? And I'm gonna answer that question in part, because, and I love the dynamics, and I mean we gonna be brothers regardless. But
I remember now. I've been thinking about this for 30 years now.
You've been thinking about it for 30 years?
So whatever answer you come up with now, I've been thinking about that. And listen, go ahead. Wait, let's talk nation. Here's a question now. I want y'all to hear this question. What is it that politics can do that finances cannot, or that wealth cannot do? What is that politics can do that wealth can't?
Here's what I'm gonna say plainly and clearly. You ever heard that old said about he who has the pen has the gold? You can make laws. You can make laws, Greg. And I understand what you said about the wealth. People are saying the same thing right now about Elon Musk and the presidency. Man, I believe we got to be at the table. You know what? Why can't we participate in both?
Dr. Blight, let me ask this question since Brother Love want to try to sidestep this. What is the
I agree with you.
Listen. What is the lifeblood of every single political campaign from start to finish?
Money.
Money.
So the people that have the pen that's signing the paper,
The people. Okay.
Hey, Doc,
Because
Doc, you know
money,
I don't get into this with Brother Jackson, but here's what I will say, Doc. You know I don't.
Money.
Here's the hook. What about the absence of us being at the table with some money participating in this process?
if we got the money,
Okay,
we gonna be at the table.
wait a minute.
And I tell you what, if we got the money, we create.
We at the table. And that's why, listen.
The reason why Jewish America is so powerful right now is not because they fought so hard to be at the table.
Because they got the money.
Because
they got the money.
The reason why Asian Americans are so powerful in their communities is not because you see them out marching and, we want this for our community. Because they go in, they build wealth in their own communities, and they have the money.
Well, Greg, no.
We'll buy what we want. Listen.
Hey, who did that? Who did that? Doc, did you do that?
No, that was Mondo.
Hey, Mondo,
Listen.
all right.
Listen.
No.
I agree with you because money buys you influence.
Hey, but see what Greg, but Greg want to acknowledge when Greg talks about the Jewish community and having the money, I don't disagree with that. But what are they doing with that money? They're contributing to campaigns. They're helping.
That's what I'm saying.
But I don't think we need to take
Right.
What does wealth do? Wealth puts them in positions to have that influence.
It gives you access.
We're thinking about this the wrong way. We're thinking that we have to be at the listen. All right, so get this. And I apologize, Doc, but I'm saying 20-year-old Greg Jackson started this question and it stays with me. So think about this. When I went to school, after I graduated from the historic Florida A&M University, the highest 7 years, I read that the next big industry was healthcare. Now this was in the mid 1990s. So me being who I was said, okay, I gotta go in, I gotta work my way up from the bottom. I gotta be a nurse, I gotta go to nursing school. Then I got to go through, be a floor nurse and all these things, work my way up to be a director of nursing. And then I can go and try to petition to be a head of a department. Then I can be a CEO of a hospital. And I told a friend of mine this. I'm going to work my way up from the bottom to the top because I want to see everything that happens. He was like, you crazy? He said, they have a master health administration program. You going all the way around here, and you can go just like this.
Yeah.
So for us, why is it that we feel like we have to be all the way around at the bottom? Because we're always viewed as being at the bottom when we're dealing with politics.
But that's our fault.
I'm gonna still
Hold
respectfully
on.
agree impartial. Hey, Peter, why don't you dial in, Peter? Because Peter, I know you got something that you can bring to the table.
Listen. We constantly buy what we want and beg for what we need.
Yep.
And we've got to change that dynamic.
Yep.
If you look, Greg is absolutely right. The reason that black people don't have political power and sway and get ignored is because we don't put money into our politics.
Yep.
We
So
always know
you
people
take
to
a recess.
respond.
Hold up.
Well,
So you
they
take a
ought to do
recess.
right.
So you take a recess from the process, right? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm
I'll take a
saying
recess
is,
process.
we need to look at having a ground, something that we are grounded in first. We're trying to build something and we have no foundation. We don't know.
Yeah.
If you ask black people what do we need politically, you'll get 10 billion different questions. That's what's wrong with the Democratic Party. They want to be.
Let
Listen,
me tell you this
now,
too.
hold on.
Doc, let me tell you this too. I get emails, and you do too. I get emails from people all across this country that are running for political office. They're in different states, different cities. You know they ain't asking me for my vote. You know
they ain't
asking
actually.
money.
They
for my money.
money.
That
They
tells
ain't
me,
saying
and that-
thoughts
that
and
is
prayers.
a clear indication that yes, our votes, they matter. We have our voice with our votes. And I will encourage everyone to get out and vote. But I think that the real power that we're missing as African Americans or anyone, brown or black, that's being missed is that we're chasing politics instead of power through wealth.
Okay.
Well,
They'll chase us with wealth.
Greg Jackson, I'm not going to disagree with you, but I will say this. I will say that we need to be included on both sides of the aisle. Right now, when you see black folk have not. I'm going to say have not.
You talking about the aisles? We ain't even in the damn stadium. We stuck out in the parking
why
lot.
aren't we, Doc? But Doc, why aren't
Hey, Doc. Hey, you heard that agitation in his voice. What?
Yeah.
What?
How can you be on both sides of the aisles and you ain't even in the business? You ain't even in the stadium.
but Doc, you say, talking about reach across the aisles or in the stadium, but why aren't we?
Why aren't we? Because we don't put money into our
We have the
politics.
Hey, you know what? And it's something you said, and I'm gonna take a chapter from you right now, Greg.
Okay.
You put effort in what you were doing to excel.
Of course.
You put effort into it. We got to put effort into, and you and I, we've been here 8 years now, brother.
Yeah.
And we've been telling folk to get engaged in this doggone process.
But that effort was
Now, another analogy. Another analogy.
He crisscrossed me.
Hold on.
He crossed
Another
me up.
analogy. When politicians go to black churches, what do they ask for?
They ask for support and their vote. They're not asking for your money.
Right. Why?
What?
You ain't got that. You ain't got that.
Hey, I'm not gonna disagree with you on that one.
They ain't gonna get no money from you.
Right. And
So-
guess what? And the reason why, hey Doc, and check this out. The reason why when they leave the black church and have your commitment for your vote, you don't hear from them no more because you don't have the money to hold them accountable to make them come back.
Exactly.
That's why. So in African American community, when you wonder why these politicians don't come back, it's because you don't.
You have no
the
power
wealth.
influence.
But since you
You
go
have
there,
no
since you
capital.
but since Greg going there, let's have this conversation about how are black people represented politically. When you look at it, 95%, 94% represented in one party.
Okay.
You don't
Again.
see that you don't see that in
Again.
But
in
we're
the
not
Hispanic community.
we're really not even represented by that one party. We're used by that one party.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Right.
I agree.
We're not really
Right.
represented by the Democratic Party.
Why? Because we bring begging into the equation. See, we beg for everything.
But Doc, you talk about big. Now I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go here with
Man, you sound like a Democrat.
a Democrat.
I know he done turned on us. Ray, he done turned on us.
Come on, hey, talk to me some more.
No,
Talk to me some more,
no.
Democrat.
Hey, I'm not. Hey, I'm gonna turn my back on that. Hey, Doc, I'm gonna turn my back.
I'm the Democrat in the room.
Hey, and you're right. I'm not a Democrat. But here's what I'm gonna say, Doc. We go and we don't support those folk that we want them to support our interests. We don't support them financially and in other cases otherwise. But then when it's time for the session to start or something that's taking place, we go and ask those folk, will you support this initiative? And when they're busy and not supporting your initiative because you didn't support them, and I'm telling you the reality of it. I'm not doing that make believe for you.
I'm gonna tell you this.
If you
I'm
got the
gonna tell
wealth,
you this.
hey, listen, if you got the wealth, you ain't got to beg them to do nothing.
But if you got the wealth, what are you doing? You're contributing to those campaigns too, aren't you?
If you
It's
got
not
two
to their
meetings
campaigns,
at
to the
2:00,
community that's going to affect their campaign.
Yeah,
Rod, listen. If you got two meetings at 2:00, one person is going to give you $2,000, and the other person is going to give you $20 million. Which meeting you going to take?
So
No. Let me give you this. If you have a meeting, one meeting, somebody's going to give you a church full of people that might give you 1,000 votes, and the other person's going to write you a $1 million check. Which one you meet with?
I'm going to get that money.
And I'm telling you, that's what
Exactly.
the lifeblood of every single political campaign.
is money
Because
is-
now-
As much as people want to say it's the votes and things
Instead
like that, it's
instead of just those 1,000 votes, now I can go out and get some media buys and get much and multiply that. That's the way I'm gonna be
I'm gonna
thinking.
just say I wouldn't advise taking a recess from the process. You
I'm
already
taking a break.
you already see what is done.
You know,
to you.
hey,
at
Greg,
this
we
show.
need to sneak him into one of the Orange County Democratic meetings
No,
so
you
he
don't
can
need
see
to
the
sneak me in.
so he can see the
Hey, you got
shenanigans.
he already got his Democrat card. Look at it. Look
No,
at it.
no. Hey, Greg, no, I'm not taking that
Hey.
card whatsoever.
Hey,
Greg, no, I'm not taking that card
Hey,
whatsoever.
that's why he wanted Peter to call. He wanted to bring Peter softly.
they do more. They do more running around photo
Yeah.
ops. The Spanish people got to hit here. The gay people got to hit here. The white people got to get here. The black people got to take a photo and all that. Everybody got a contingency or an agenda instead of having a platform. Everybody's going in with their particular set of problems instead of saying what unifies us and says that that we can all agree on is a problem for all of us. This is why the Democratic Party is an array, because we got these special interests inside of it who are always advocating only for their point of view.
Pandering, Doc.
Huh?
Pandering. That's all they've been doing. Pandering.
Well, it's not pandering because when you have 10 masters and you're trying to answer to all of them, you're gonna be confused. You
Yeah.
can't be organized.
Yeah, show game.
You know, and the thing is, in reality, and I'm gonna say this: the biggest problem for the Democratic Party is the transgender homosexual agenda. Period. Because most people are not with that. That's not saying that they're anti-them. What they're saying is that's a particular subset of society that many of us don't experience that issue that they have. What's the bigger picture? They need health care. So why are we not focusing on health care? They need housing. Why we not focusing on that? That benefits them as well. But when you abandon everything and you go to one particular subset that's really drilled down, you got a problem because you're ignoring everybody else. And that's what we face with.
You know, again, I hear what y'all saying about wealth. I don't disagree about generating wealth, but I don't agree that you take a recess from the process.
Well, I think at the very least, the conversation needs to be how do we increase the wealth base to be taken more seriously?
I agree. You don't get
You know,
yeah.
that has to absolutely.
But
be
we
a part
can't
of the
build
conversation.
anything until we recreate the foundation. The model that we're still following is 1965. We shall overcome. That's not going to get it. Okay? It's much more complex. Black people have evolved. We're not even speaking to the same type of constituency that Martin Luther King spoke to. A lot of these young black people are educated, they're aware, and their points are different than we shall overcome.
You know, the black community of 1969 and the 1950s is far different from the black
Right.
community of today.
Right, but they still
The black
talking.
community, yeah, I mean, back then it was more of a segregated, or integrated community, because we did not live for the most part outside of our communities. But right now, much like everyone else, we are everywhere, and our issues are more diverse than what they were 50 years ago. Much
Listen.
more diverse than what they were 56 years ago.
Listen, people don't understand how short a time it was ago.
Oh yeah.
I knew my great grandfather, who was born in 1892.
Mm.
Okay, basically 20 years after slavery, and I knew him well. I used to spend the summer up there in Quincy. Remember, I told you, Greg, I had people up there in Quincy.
Yeah,
My great grandfather had a chicken farm up there.
Listen,
So
I
it's
tell
not that long
people-
ago.
Listen, I tell people, and listen, Doc, much like you, I tell people I used to sit at the feet of my great grandfather, Charlie Brown, who was born in 1878, came from Milledgeville, Georgia, left home when he was 14 years old because his dad had married a woman who was mean to him, came to Perry, Florida, built his own house with his own two hands, had to leave in 1920 around the town of Rosewood, because remember, they weren't just killing people in Rosewood and Ocoee. This was an issue that was taking place across the southern part, the northern part of Florida. To where he had to board up his house and move down to Bradenton, Florida. I used to sit at the feet of this man. At age 10, up until the time that he passed away at 103 years old in 1981. You see what I'm saying? So Doc, the kids of today,
Not the ones.
they have no idea about those conversations and the people that we. And listen, if your great granddad went through it in the 1800s and the early 1900s, think about our grandparents and our parents who were in the 50s. Before there was even integration that went through stuff.
Sitting there hearing your grandmother scream when they killed Martin Luther King. You know, that kind of stuff, that's my generation.
Yeah.
I lived that. That wasn't that long ago. I'm just 63.
Hey, and I'm sorry, fellas, because we're getting to the tail end. Before we get to the very end, on behalf of Let's Talk Nation, the General, and Doc, we want to extend our condolences to the family of Senator Geraldine Thompson, who passed away week before last. And you know, we know that she was a champion in this community, and we just want to go ahead and make sure that it be known that Let's Talk Nation wanted to once again extend our condolences to her family. And Greg, I don't know what there's a lot to that.
I mean, Doc, did you go to or know anyone who went to the services this past weekend?
No, but I had this to say.
This Friday? Yeah. Oh, my bad. I thought it already took place. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I want to say this. One of the things we have to do is celebrate and mourn this lady, because she stepped into the fight. Regardless of the politics, agreement or disagreement with her, she was willing to serve. So you always want to celebrate those people who can basically donate their time, their effort, their sweat on our behalf. We can't dismiss them. She was important to the progress of Black people here in the state of Florida. So, again, the condolences from Let's Talk Nation to her family and loved ones.
Absolutely. And as many folks that may want us to do this, we're going to resist the urge for now. To talk about the history of what's going to take place or the future of what's going to take place with that district, because that is a whole nother conversation in and of itself. And just want to, just echo my colleagues here. One of the first two people that I met in politics, first two women, Black women that I met in politics, Doc Blight, was Daisy Lynham. And
that was going to give.
Thompson.
Hey, you knew that was going to give me the giggles.
Yeah, listen. Two, strong women that
strong will.
Absolutely had an impact on this community. And all I can say is that And not being an Orlandian. I wasn't born here, but I have adopted this community as my own. I felt the impact and the importance of these women even early on in media.
And it's funny you say that because my memory of Commissioner Lynham is we served on the City of Orlando Parks and Recreation Board. And
Before she was elected?
Before she was elected.
Yeah.
And when she told me that she was going to run, and she said, I got to get out there and raise some money. I work for.
Hey, you heard what she said? What she said, Brother Love?
She said, I got to get out there and raise some money.
She ain't raising no vote. She ain't raising no vote.
And she asked for your vote? She asked for your money?
Oh, she asked for my money. I didn't live in the city then.
Oh, for real?
No, right. I didn't. All right. Yeah, I know where you're going. Hey, Doc, I gave her a check at one of our meetings and told her, this is when I worked probation and parole. I said, go cash that today.
You better get it for the bill, man.
Hey, those were the days when it was paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, man.
But you're absolutely right, Greg. I mean, we stand on the shoulders of some giants.
Yeah, and listen, man, we always take time out and we always find ourselves, because, one of the things that we want to do is we want to promote our men in our community as well, because for a bit of time, and I think they're starting to reverse a little bit, for a bit of time, it seems that African-American men were being ignored to an extent. But we absolutely need to take time to talk about the giant who are females, whose shoulders that we stand on. And we can't, Mabel Butler. We can't forget Daisy Lynham. We can't forget Geraldine Thompson. You can't forget Commissioner Sipplin. Although she is fairly new to the game, Victoria Sipplin, she is one of those individuals who stepped into this community and has been very impactful in this community.
And that tag team, you got Commissioner Sipplin and you
got
Senator
Sipplin. Yeah, I mean, and there's so many. I know I'm leaving some out, but there were and
Tiffany Moore Russell.
Thank you very much, Tiffany Moore Russell. Absolutely. And that could have gone anywhere and been impactful in any other community. And I know that Tiffany Moore Russell, now, y'all don't know if y'all noticed or not, but we went to law school together.
Okay.
And I remember, she was like, oh, I'm from Orlando. I was like, oh, Disney World. She was like, no, it's more than. She was like, no, it's more than. So, and she was right. I mean, she came back and she's been serving as a commissioner, now as the clerk of courts.
Yeah.
And
she is good. She has transformed that office.
So let me ask both of y'all, because we're on the tail end of Black History Month.
It's going already.
Man, it's got the shortest.
It seems like this is the shortest month.
Yeah, listen to this guy. So, who is your Black History unsung hero?
You know what, man? I mean, and I know this is gonna sound crazy. I can talk about my dad and also stuff and the impact he had on my life, but the person, Dr. Light, Brother Love, Brother Armando, that I always revere, that I have so much respect for, is Muhammad Ali.
Man, you took man. I knew you was gonna do that. I knew you was gonna do that.
Now, I mean, right or wrong, whether or not you agree or disagree with Muhammad Ali during one of the most transformational times in the history of our country with the Vietnam War, he stood on what he believed in. He stood on the treatment that he felt that African Americans were being given in their own communities at a time when we were being asked to go and fight in other countries and we weren't being treated fairly. He stood on that so much so until he lost literally everything he had.
And see, because of how you framed it up, Muhammad Ali is my unsung hero, not because of the celebrity that he was, but for the fact you just identified.
Yeah, for what he gave up.
Yes.
And he used his celebrity in order to bring a lot of things to light, but still was willing to give it all up for what he believed in.
And I was looking at, Muhammad Ali stands above all, but then when I look at Jim Brown,
Lou Alcindor, Paul Robeson, I mean, it's so not like these athletes nowadays, the stuff that they're doing. Well, let me say this: as little of a fan of Colin Kaepernick that I am, because of the protests, I feel that he did absolutely have a right to voice his opinion and his voice. He is the only one closest to someone that has and was willing to give up everything for what he believed in. As much as I did not agree with what he did, I have mad respect for him because he was willing to give up everything for what he believed in.
Doc, who is your unsung hero?
Oh, wow. You never heard of him. But there's this gentleman that used to teach at Bethune-Cookman University, and his name is Dr. Sylvester Pope. And this man was so instrumental in changing the direction of my journey. He's the reason I went back to college and earned a doctorate and a master's and all of this stuff, because he showed me the framework of being a dad. I watched him father his kids, and he gave me such insight and good reasoning. I was able to do that with my kids, and that man, just that relationship changed my life. And I have him to always thank for where I am now. He was instrumental in change, because in my early 30s, I saw diverging roads. And without his influence on getting me on that path, I would have went the other way. And so I have to always hold him up as my unsung hero.
Just real quickly, we're talking about naming unsung heroes, and we've gone through that process. Greg, go ahead, if you can, quickly define the difference, because we always go back and revert to Charles Barkley, and the difference was when they wanted to launch him out there to be the role model.
Said I'm not a role model.
And
said I'm not a role model, and your kids shouldn't look up to me. Basically what he was saying. I mean, and for the most part, I mean, within everyone's homes, and unfortunately this isn't true. The role model that should be in each child's home is
Right.
their mom and or their dad.
You're right.
Or that male or that mom figure, because some don't necessarily have. They may have the grandmother, the grandfather, the auntie, or the uncle. But we should have, or young people should have, people in their homes that they can look up to, and that's what Charles Barkley.
Do you realize how much criticism he took when he pushed back?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, but listen, before we get too far out, man, and I know we only have like a minute and some change left. I just want to remind, as the session begins, Florida is only one of a few states that does not have mandatory bodily injury coverage. Last year, the legislature passed it. Unfortunately, the governor vetoed it. It's going to be back on the ballot again. What that means is that every individual within the state of Florida, similar to PIP insurance, should have or will have to have mandatory bodily injury insurance. So if they injure someone or hurt someone in an accident, they will at least have the resources to contribute to their medical care and treatment. So, talk to your state senator, talk to your state representative, and ask them to continue to support it. And to please encourage Governor DeSantis to support it as well.
All right. So they'll be back doing a legislative session this
Yes,
session. Okay.
session again. Yeah.
Hey, you're going to always get information from Let's Talk Nation. Hey, Doc, man, we appreciate you tuning in and participating as aggressively as you did this evening, Brother Jackson.
and for agreeing with me, appreciate that.
Hey, and Armando gonna get suspended for that little thing he pulled. You and Greg know what I'm talking about. Hey, but to the Let's Talk Nation audience, hey, we love to have you. We'll be back same time, same place next month. And General,
Yes,
you
sir.
don't have to go home.
But you got to get out of here.
We'll see you next week on Let's Talk Nation.